I'm really excited about this presentation because specific impact change continue, or the SICK method, is one of the best ways to actually help our clients change. You can use this with food journals, you can use it with training, you can use it with so many different things. So let's get right into it. I also recommend for using it when working with staff and managing them. So the first thing is when you're looking at food journal, whatever it is, you need to look at the specific behavior, event, whatever it is, without judgment. It's to get the client to recall the facts about the situation and the behavior that they engage in. So let's use an example. You looked at someone's food diary. I know she drank 12 beers on Friday. Tell me a little bit more about that. That's it. You're not judging the client. You're not saying 12 beers is bad for you. You're not doing any of that type of stuff. You're just focusing on what happened and you're trying to get a little bit of context around it. It's as simple as that. So what this stage does is it stops the client from feeling bad about the experience. They're probably going to feel bad anyway, but they're not going to get criticized for that, which is a win. It's a really important thing to do. Now, from there is we need to help the client understand the impact. Okay, so they're going to go now to understanding. They've gone from recalling the specific event to then understand the impact it's making on their ability to get results. So how did that affect your sleep? How did they affect your training, your performance? How did it change your food choices change after you drank all that? So what it's doing is the client is now connecting their actions to specific consequences. Okay, so they're making the connections, not you. This is where you can use your knowledge. So a lot of coaches will be like, don't you know that beer is this and alcohol does that and blah, blah, blah. And they get really irritating and they just give their client a whole bunch of basically a lecture that the client didn't really ask for and probably doesn't need to hear. So here you can actually use your knowledge, but you're framing it in a way where you're asking the client on how it affected that. Because some people, for example, they could drink and they don't think it affects their sleep. So cool. We can't actually just tell that person, it's unlikely, but we can't just tell that person that that experience is real. Okay. So what we need to do is ask that, and we can use as much of our knowledge about how alcohol affects our body, sleep, libido, testosterone, recovery in the gym, performance in the gym, cognition the next day, blah, 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 and ask them to start connecting the dots. When clients do that, then what happens is they get realization. Okay. So they realize that, oh man, this beer sucks. Okay. This is really affecting my results, my ability to generate what I need to do. So what happens here is we can then ask the client what they'd like to change. So you like to change or continue is generally what I like to do. So do you want to change or continue doing that? Most people will say change. They want to change what they've been doing and get a different outcome. If they want to continue, what it basically means is that the behavior still has enough benefits that it outweighs the negatives of that. So smoking is a really common one. People will still smoke despite everyone knowing it causes cancer because the benefits of relaxation, social health, all that kind of stuff are better for them. So a really simple question, do you want to change or continue? If a client doesn't want to change initially, wouldn't worry about it. I would just go, why is that? Just be curious about it. If they want to change, cool, what would you like to do differently? So from here, you can get them to break down the process in a little bit more detail. But then what I would do is ask these questions and move them really into that change. And then you can get the client to decide what they want to do. Now, our job as a coach is to basically break this down into smaller and smaller amounts. Okay. So with that there, when the client is doing this, that client might go from 12 beers, what do you want to do differently? Do you want to change? Yes. Cool. I'm just going to go cut out alcohol for the next 6 months. That's not realistic at all. So we have other lectures on ready, willing, and able and other behavioral frameworks that you can actually apply. But your immediate takeaway is you can actually listen to the client and maybe break that goal down to make it a little bit simpler. And what can happen there is you will increase the likelihood that they'll achieve that goal. So if you go from 12 beers and they say, I'm going to cut out totally, you go, how about 6? Yeah, I can do that. And you want them to be extremely confident. And then when they, instead of doing 6, they'll do 4 because that positive momentum and the fact that they feel they can do it, they'll do a little bit better again and again. So again, with the other tools we're going to do, we're going to come up with a really quick way of transforming behavior. And then you can always reflect back to the habit loop to find out why these particular habits are happening and these particular events, and then work out if there's something else that you can do to solve that. So with the beers, rather than the trigger being finishing on a Friday night and the craving is to go to the pub, the craving could be to go to the gym. That's probably not the best one for most people, but that in essence is exactly what you're trying to do with this. So these are some very, very powerful coaching tools.